Boys, Xabi Alonso has officially been sacked after losing the Supercopa final against Barcelona. If you guys do enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Peace. Boys, yesterday Real Madrid announced that Xabi Alonso is sacked immediately after losing the Supercopa final against Barcelona and El Clasico in Saudi Arabia. And I kind of wanted to give my thoughts real quick on the sacking itself, just because I thought that Xabi Alonso, I think the sack, him getting fired was undeserved, but at the same time, not necessarily a bad call. I think that one of the glaring issues in the beginning for me was that Xabi Alonso is too involved. He's too, like, if you ever watch one of their trainings, he's always spamming fingers and whatnot. Even during the games, he's always giving just instructions and orders, and it feels like as a player, especially the caliber of players he does have, sometimes it feels like you're being micromanaged, and I can understand that being a factor as to why Real Madrid players weren't kind of too happy with him as a coach. And I think once he lost the dressing room, it kind of became difficult for him to get that back and to get back the confidence between the board. I thought that Florentino Perez has had these issues before. He's kind of on a short fuse. I think that he has his candidates that he really loves, and he wants to make it work with a lot of these, like Santiago Solari, Rafa Benitez, dudes of that caliber, Lopetegui, those type of dudes. He wanted to make it work with them, but obviously it doesn't always happen that way, right? I think they bring in Álvaro Arbeloa. I think that he's going to have a short stint there as well. I think during the summer they're going to find a new coach, and we'll see what happens between then. But like I said, Xabi Alonso sacked after the Supercopa final. Some players complained about Xabi Alonso providing them too much information. They got bored. They got like, hey man, this is just a game. Like, we know what we're doing. We play for the best club in the world. Let us play our game and let's see what happens with that. Maybe not too much freedom for most players. Obviously, guys like Arda Güler had a lot of freedom. Jude Bellingham kind of had a lot of freedom. Valverde had to play positions he didn't want to play. But the three main players that were opposed to Xabi Alonso supposedly were Jude, Vinny, and Fede. And obviously, two of those guys being captains does not a great look for you. Like I said, man, it's really hard to deal with a lot of these players. I was surprised when this came out specifically from Jude and Fede, just because Jude and Fede were where Jude was hurt a lot of the time, right? So he wasn't really involved too much, just because it took him a while to get adapted to his injuries. He had the shoulder thing in the beginning of the season. He had a meniscus something here and there, right? He had a couple nicks and knocks. So that was interesting to see. Fede Valverde, like I said, interesting just because of how much of a player he is in terms of like what he loves, and he loves the badge. So that was interesting. And then people talk about win percentage, 71.4% win percentage, better than Ancelotti, better than Zidane, but obviously he had a much smaller sample size, right? Zinedine Zidane never lost a final. Xabi Alonso didn't really do too well in tournaments like that. So, yeah, it's hard to say, like, oh, yeah, he is a better coach than Zidane because he has a better win percentage, even though he only coached 30-something games, 30-odd games. So it's not a fair statistic for for Zinedine Zidane. So this was an interesting thing. Xabi Alonso's trying to do a guard of honor, and Mbappé tells the players, no, don't do that. And I think this is when Xabi Alonso was like, yo, fire me, please. I don't want to do this no more. Because Real Madrid, as we all know, Real Madrid is a club of class. They're always, when somebody wins something, they always tweet out, yo, congratulations. When somebody passes away from another club, they tweet out, yo, rest in peace, whatever the case may be. They do stuff like that, right? And for them not to do the guard of honor for Barcelona, and Xabi Alonso instructing them to do so, and them saying no, especially being led by Kylian Mbappé, not a great look for him. So what does that mean for Real Madrid? They appointed Álvaro Arbeloa, ex-Castilla coach. I think that he was a big... he was one of those guys on the radar that were like, yo, we want this guy. I think that Florentino Perez was pretty sure on who was going to take over for Xabi. I think that Arbeloa is going to get 6 months, like I said, and then we're going to sign a real coach within the summer. Hopefully Zinedine Zidane. I think Zinedine Zidane has the upper echelon of ego of being like, yo, I have more aura than y'all because I'm better than y'all, and y'all love me, and y'all respect me. And Xabi Alonso didn't really have that. Arbeloa is not going to really have that. So it's going to be an interesting thing to watch. They already have like a set how they think he's going to play a 4-3-3, a pivot with when who progresses the ball. Size doesn't matter. Fast-paced attack. Pressing required. And that's always the big thing for a lot of these teams, right? I think Xabi Alonso, when the team was playing his style, the team won and the team looked good. You saw a couple games in the Club World Cup that the team pressed it really high and they actually put a lot of pressure on the ball. And that's what I thought that Gonzalo Garcia does really well. He presses, he steals ball, he intercepts balls. He makes it a living hell for a lot of those defenders. He's not the quickest, he's not the fastest, he's not the most prolific threat. Like you don't see him making a run. You're like, oh my god, I gotta go guard this guy like you do with Mbappe or Vinny, right? So, but he does make good dummy runs. So I don't really know where Arbeloa goes. I don't really know what his style is, what his plan is. A 4-3-3 is pretty basic. Obviously, with our the players that we do have, a 4-3-3 system does fit the most in terms of that team. But I don't know, man. I don't know if Real Madrid kind of has it to be a top 5 team this year. I think that when they're hot, but there's too many individuals in a team game, and you just can't win that way. Mbappe can score goals all he wants. He kind of does it for free, but it's really difficult to get everybody involved. It's hard. It's kind of difficult to get defense for sure. Our defense this year has been abysmal. I think that there's too many holes back there. There's too many injuries back there. There's not enough reinforcement. We need somebody to bolster the midfield. And it's kind of funny that Real Madrid have all these players, but they're still missing pieces. They're still missing things. They're still missing like every single aspect of the game. They're missing something. A defender, a midfielder that controls the game, that controls the pace of the game. An attacker that's a box threat. And it's interesting to see how many players we do have and how much talent we have on that team, and still needing things is kind of like shocking and a little bit embarrassing, to be honest, just because like we're the biggest club in the world and we need things, and we have a lot of the big players, a lot of players that other teams want. So that's pretty embarrassing. But I mean, we'll see what Arbeloa does. Man, his name is hard to say. So we'll see how he does. I give him 6 months. I think it'll be not many different things. But if you guys do enjoy the video, leave a like, subscribe. I'll catch you next time. Peace.